Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Red Pill Podcast number 61. I hope you are all having an incredible weekend wherever you are. It has been really unfortunate weather for where I've been lately, but just today it flipped and it's looking beautiful outside. So once I'm done filming this podcast, I'm definitely going to go enjoy the sunshine, and I urge you all to get out there in Mother Nature and do the same. So I've had an incredibly busy week communicating with some other communities. It's been beautiful to expand and share the knowledge and wisdom of what we're doing over here with Gematria Numerology and Astrology, and the ability to actually see a different side of how this market operates that some other people might not be completely aware even existed. So it's been amazing to be able to communicate with some other people. I actually just had a podcast that featured last night with Martin Liedtke. You might be aware of his channel under the name of Flat Earth British. He is an incredible artist. He's been doing his thing for quite a while now, sharing his outlook on the realm and just all things Tartaria and mud floods. And if you guys are interested in non-crypto related content, and you, for instance, like what I'm doing on my Friday live streams, you might really enjoy the recent live that Martin just posted last night. At the end of it, it's me and him having a little bit of a conversation. It's a pretty long video. It's about 4 hours long. The first part of it is just him doing his thing, going through a bunch of amazing pictures of statues and kind of showing this different perspective onto what these statues might have been and breaking them down by era. It's just really incredible. And then it shifts into a interview that me and him did, where we just kind of, go with the flow and freestyle and have a podcast talking about just all things, pretty much just reality in general. And it was a beautiful thing. It was really nice to be able to talk to somebody about non-crypto related content, but just to have an open-minded discussion about what's happening on the world stage right now. So definitely go check out Martin's channel. And then most of you are also probably aware, if not, you're here from the community that I just had an interview with, Crypto Coffee. So me and Crypto Coffee had a interview just about a couple days ago. It went really well. He is covering mostly Hex and PulseX and pretty much everything related to Hex. And it was definitely an interesting collaboration because I don't know too much about Hex. I did cover it last week in the Red Pill Podcast number 60. So it was definitely interesting to be able to come out with that content and share what I was seeing in the charts. And then just shortly after that, hop on this interview with a community that's mostly focused around Hex. And then today I'm actually going to show you something that I'm calling the Hex Ritual, because Hex just went through a very sharp, capitulation event. And then it's got bought back up pretty quickly. Yesterday, I think it was up about 30% off of that dip. And today it's kind of correcting a little bit more. So what that means is volume is kicking in. There's a lot of volatility. So I'm definitely going to get into that, and I'm going to show you guys some of the dates and, the gematria and how it's all affecting what we just saw happen with Hex over the last 48 hours. So coincidence in a sense, but it's just amazing how the day after I did that interview with Matt over at Crypto Coffee, pretty much everything that I shared with my TA came to life within 24 hours. It's like within the next day, it corrected all the way down through all the price targets that I was mentioning. Pretty quick rebound the day after, and it's looking like what I was telling his community over on that interview, what we call in the Wyckoff method a spring. So I'm going to get into that in a moment. I just wanted to give a quick introduction, tell everyone to go check out the recent interview I did with Martin Liedtke. If you're unable to find it naturally with searching on YouTube, you could just go into our Discord, and under Waters Above Updates, you'll see it was the last post I made. And then the post before that was the interview that I did with Crypto Coffee. Matt over on his channel, and again, he covers mostly Hex. So one of the things to mention is I'm well aware that Hex and especially Richard Hart and perhaps even the community behind Hex could be very polarizing, and it's almost very similar to like the XRP army kind of thing. And you guys know where I stand with all of this. I am here to be I'm here to share my truth and my wisdom, my gnosis. I'm not here to pick sides. I'm not here to worship a crypto. I am here to experience the highest vibrational frequency while I'm borrowing this body here on this physical plane. And while I'm here, surfing the waves of this simulation, I am open minded to all things. And it was really nice to be able to talk with a community that's solely focused pretty much on this project and to have an open minded discussion, not a debate, not a argument, just to be able to have a loving, open minded conversation. And I feel like it went so well and it brought over a lot of people from Matt's community. And they've all been so loving and so nice since joining. I mean, it's been nothing but love and high vibrations. And that's exactly what we want. So if people are only aware and conscious of what's going on with Hex and they join our community and they start talking about it in our Discord, be open-minded to what they're aware of because they have their own knowledge set. But every individual in this reality has their own specialization, something that they're most attracted to, and that's what they bring to the table. And what we have to do as a community is be open to everyone's perspective and everyone's specialization. There's going to be some individuals in our group that know a lot about tropical astrology. There's going to be some individuals in our group that know a lot about sidereal. There's going to be a lot of people in our group that know a lot about prepping and, food storage and agriculture, and maybe they know nothing about what's going on with the Bitcoin chart or what's happening with ETH 2.0. And that doesn't matter. This community was never about that to begin with. Generally, cryptocurrency and decoding with Gematria Numerology and Astrology are what the content seems to be based around, of course, but you guys know I like to slip in the mindset and the wisdom. And then with these podcasts that I do over the weekend and my live streams and all of my interviews that I take, whether that be with Logan, Decode Your Reality, or Donut Factory, we're just talking about the truth, right? So this is what I want this all to be about, a culmination of everyone's truths. And let's help each other and be empowered as a community. I don't want any tribalism. I don't want anyone's tribalism. And if someone shows up here and they're perpetuating the tribalism of their, specific altcoin that they know most about, just let them know, like, hey, we're here to expand. We're not here to contract. And we would love to know more about what you know, but don't push any agenda on anyone, right? And that's really what this is about. So I just want to let everyone know, because as my work gets more popular, and especially at the start of June 1st, we're probably going to see some more people enter our community, specifically from the Hex community, or perhaps from Martin Liedke's channel. And the people over on Martin's channel, they might not know much about crypto. And yesterday, because of the interview I did with them, it was their first introduction to hearing from someone in the cryptocurrency sector that talks the way that I do. And that's the way that Martin is, very open-minded and seeking truth. And this is just an opportunity for us to be different than other communities, where other communities are very tribalist and duality consciousness based and pushing fear and saying that people are wrong. That's not what this is about. This is a space to essentially allow someone to share their truth and you share your truth, and from there we build. And if you don't vibrationally align with someone else, that's perfectly fine. You don't need to. That's not how this world works. But I do believe that we're all artists and we all have a creative nature and we all have the ability to share our art form and our mind, and I think we should all allow that. As I always say, love is allowing. So let's be different than what else is going on in this world. These communities based on psyops, which are essentially pushing one truth, and everyone in the group has to agree with such. We're in a very emotional and dramatic timeline right now. As you're all aware, we're in the Shemitah year, and we're seeing it's not only the markets that are chaotic. What else is chaotic, right? There's so many things going on. Food prices skyrocketing, oil prices skyrocketing, change in, the ability to move around the planet because of whatever restrictions and new laws that are in place, and legislature changing, and war. I mean, actual physical violent conflict going on in specific places. I mean, this is a dark time. And we have to be the light that shines through the darkness. So I just want everyone to come together right now and be focused on unity and not division. So got that out of the way. Again, if you're new here to this community and you've yet to get Discord access, just go ahead and direct message me here on Patreon. Do not send me an email or a comment in this video with your with your Discord details. I can't add you that way. I'll need you to message me directly on Patreon. Okay. And then you'll be able to see the Waters Above updates section. And in that section, I post all the live streams that I do. I post all of the interviews and re-uploads of anything that are important and all of the exclusive content that's also shared on Patreon. Some of the things I'm not going to share on Patreon directly because it's just, it's excess and it's not worth double posting an interview that I do with another channel that's public, And also, I believe there will be a new interview with Donut Factory very soon. So shout out to Alex and his community, anyone that's made it over from his work. We appreciate you and have a lot of love for you as well. So let's get into this. I was just discussing the hex ritual, and the reason being is because we just watched this big red wick come in a couple days ago, exactly on May 27th, and I'm going to explain to you how and why this is all happening and give you some of the numbers to share. So if you watch the interview that I did with Crypto Coffee, you'll know that I was talking about a potential shakeout for hex to come down to 4 cents, even as low as 3 cents. And the next day after that interview, that all happened in a single day. And it had a pretty substantial bounce after that. So if we were to go over here and shrink this down a little bit and turn on the volume indicator, we're probably going to see a big spike in volume. And you could see that right there. There's just a random tick up in red volume. But it's just in general, supply is kicking up. And that's a good thing, because when you want to have a spring, or what I would call a macro selling climax, if we're taking all things into consideration, in this moment is when we want to see it followed with volume. So if we're going to see a sharp V-shaped recovery with a huge volume spike, you see how before it, the volume was super low, like almost non-existent. The volume that it took to push us down to here and the volume that it took to push us up to here was negligible, okay? So look at the volume spike in during this big sell-off, particularly on this date right there, that capitulation event. Now, I'll get into the TA in a moment about this, but I just want to share with you some of the dates and some of the reasons this could have happened, because I did have a lot of new people come over from Match Channel. And of course, there's going to be skepticism when someone learns about Gematria Numerology and their applications to the market. And I appreciate skepticism. I completely understand why somebody who would be new to Gematria would instantaneously shake it off. And that's because it's very esoteric, it's very hidden, and it's not normal. And I just want to let you guys know that, there's going to be times where people in our community, even over an extended period of time, they're going to start to disbelieve Gematria because they don't know how to do it themselves. They don't actually know how to decode, and therefore they're waiting on content to come out to sort of prove it, right? And Gematria at this point doesn't need to be proven, all right? It's the origin of the culmination of letters and numbers. I mean, it's been going on since before the English language was even created. I don't need to prove something like this anymore. I don't desire to prove it. Anyone who wants me to have to prove this, well, you just need to go back through all of our videos, because you'll be able to see for yourself. It's pretty obvious at this point. So what I want to show you really quickly is just some of the things that happen. And we'll start with this big red wick, because I do think this fits into the overall market dynamics. Not only did we have some event like this happen with Hex, but we saw with Terra Luna, they launched Luna Classic, and they're going through their own volatility. I'm not even going to really dive any deeper into that until I need to, but you know that this last 2 days or 3 days in the market has been pretty interesting. So this specific date of the 27th, let's investigate this a little further. So as you can see, I personally love to do my date numerology with this double-digit date numerology. If you guys have been following my work for a while now, you know this. People that are new here, this would be standard date numerology. where you're just using single digits, and this would be a more advanced form, and I prefer this form because I've seen it work a lot better in regards to my application of utilizing the date numerologies for crypto and for finances. So this 74 is not an accident. So remember, May 27th, that just passed 2 days ago, this was the date that we saw Hex have a big shakeout. Now, what is Hex short for? It is short for hexagon, and hexagon is 74 in English ordinal, just like this date numerology was 74 on this exact date. Okay, this is not by accident, okay? And remember, when we're using one of the more advanced tactics that Logan over at Decode Your Reality has told me is when you add a 1 in front of a number, you also like amplify the number. So you know the number 33, that 33 is equally or like a little bit more powerful when you add the 1 in front of it. So 133 is still the power of 33, but it's like amplified. It's like a +1, you know? Bonus points. So it's also pretty interesting how this is the 147th day of the year, and again 47 is just the mirror of 74. That's just a side note, okay? And of course this happened on the date leaving 3 months and 30 days between the upcoming Shemitah. Now, why is Hex and hexagon and everything that ties back to Hex so important this specific year? Because we're in the year of the Shemitah, okay? And if you go to the Hex chart, you'll see that they hit their all-time high pretty much right around the start of Shemitah, okay? And it hit 52 cents, and that's not by accident. I'm going to show you exactly why this is all tied in, okay? So over here on this chart, I actually was explaining on my interview with Matt, and I also told you guys in the last Red Pill episode, if you pull a bearish fib from this swing low right here to this swing high, so you pull it in reverse, this is going to show you where the 1618 is, and that was bang on. We literally perfectly swiped into that. But what I think is really interesting is if you take off this peak right here, which, and I believe this is very important, the date that it hit this peak was May 5th. That's 5/5 or 55. And you go over to Richard Hart's website and you could see this. A few weeks ago, Richard bought the world's largest cut diamond called the Enigma. It's a billion, blah, 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 blah. Weighs 55555. Has 55 facets. So the recent price high that we had was on May 5th before this turnaround. Why that's so important? These are 5 5s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's the 5/5, which again, when we're decoding, 5/5 would be, you know, the 5 5s, which comes back to this as well. So I think it's really interesting that if you just, this is the website, richardhart.com. If you just scroll down, all you'll see is 5s. Look at this. He has 5 million in watches. He gave over 500. I mean, dude, it's all 5s. So what are the odds that that Hex hit? I don't even need to explain it, right? Now, what's also funny is on multiple charts, you can see the all-time high was 52 cents. And that's, again, 25 is the 2 5s. So I think that's another interesting thing. When we're utilizing numbers and decoding, we want to mirror everything, just like I did before when I was talking about that 47 and 74. So where it gets even crazier is if we pull down from this price right here of 2 cents down to this wick low recently, we're going to see that was an 81% drop from this high to this low. 81%. And this capitulation event happened on Friday. And Friday is Viernes, which is the day of Venus. And Venus, again, equals 81. So we have an 81% drawdown. Okay, and also we see the tie there with that 25, those 2 5s, just like over here, we're seeing the 5s, the 2 5s right there. It's just amazing how this is all coded in. I digress, but think about that, right? From that 2 5s date, which is May 5th, 5/5, down 81%, and you get to the exact bottom. And what does this bottom get you to? A wick of 037. Okay, now I'm going to get into why that's a little important in a moment, but just to continue, I mean, you got to be, you know, blind to not see how coded all of this is. You know, I mean, the coincidence here is gone. It's obvious by now. So one of the things that I think was really interesting is how it was a setup leading into the 2/8 date, the 28th of May. And we went over this last week where we were talking about how it's the 21 date numerology in the 21st week of the year. And it's a Saturn day, the day of Saturn. And Saturn, again, is that 21, okay? So we have the 28th being 21 date numerology in the 21st week of the year, being 121 days leading up to Rosh Hashanah, which is the palindrome of the 12 and the 21. And of course, this big connection down to the wick low that we got of 037. 037 or 37 is 3 sevens. So I'll just type that out for you. 37 equals 3 sevens. Don't look down here, just pay attention to what I'm writing down. And 3 sevens equals 777. And 777 equals 21. All tied back to Saturn, because Saturn's hexagon is the energy behind what's going on here. There's a very deep esoteric principle to all of this, okay? Hexagon, Saturn's hexagon. And I'll show you really quickly. And of course, this is a black rock, the Enigma, the black rock. You guys have heard about them before, right? That black rock comes back to the Kaaba, and that all has to do with Saturnalian. So Saturn's hexagon right there. That's hex. All right. And this is all tied to Saturn. So it's very important you guys take note of some of this stuff too. Like if you're new here and you're unaware of the depth of how decoding can go, some of the stuff is actually that basic, but I think it's pretty profound by now, how this was all tied into this big event. And I'm glad that I had that interview the day before. And you want to know something that's interesting? It's almost like hex has been locked in at 074 now for like the whole day. Ever since it came down and popped back up, 074. Okay, so 074 is 74, and that 74 comes back to hexagon. 74, Saturn's hexagon, right? And that 3 sevens is amazing how it wicked down to that level. 037 or 37 is 3 sevens. 3 sevens is your jackpot, 777, which equals 21. So let's move on. Today is the 22 date numerology. So that 22, again, we're in the 22 year, in the Hebrew year of 5782, giving you the 22. Of course, I said that at 22 minutes into this podcast. I'm just going to drink some water real quick. Alrighty. So this 22 is the master builder and master destroyer number. And one of the important things is how this will be a transition date into tomorrow, which will be the 119 days since or into Rosh Hashanah. So keep that in mind. Because we know that 119 and 911 is very powerful. Remember, Terra Luna hit $119 before it dropped to zero. Okay? I wonder why it did that. Talk about moonfall. So that is all coded in, as you are aware. Speak about things. A lot of people have been asking me lately about specific companies and which ones are going to make it and which ones aren't. And I want people to know we're kind of in that .com bubble territory right now, where we're seeing things that we thought were going to keep going for a while just completely collapse. So we need to be open-minded to there's a very esoteric principle behind all of this. Remember what I told you guys last time about Terra Luna, how it was hitting its all-time high back during the December eclipse when everything else was getting smashed. And then during this recent lunar eclipse, we saw Terra Luna pretty much drop to zero. 99.99% losses in 3 days. Okay? It's not because of whatever bullshit they're telling you with BlackRock and Citadel and all this trash like that. It's because it was a lunar eclipse ritual. That is why it's all happening. That it's designed to go that way. I actually haven't even decoded this guy's name yet. Is it spelled like this? Do Kwon. Oh, that's the 11th prime. And that 11, the 1-1, Yakin, Boaz, the two towers that fell on 9/11, like Terra Luna hit 119, the mirror. Is that how you spell this guy's name? I'm speaking to the ether right now. Yes, that's how you spell his name. Let's look at his name like this. I'm going to stop doing this in a moment. I just think it's pretty interesting. And they also changed. Woo! That 51, though. Oh, shit. That's so important. That 51 is so important because I was just going to talk about that. That's a perfect segue. Okay. So the next date that I think will be juicy is next Friday. The 3-6 or the 6-3. Remember, 36 is 3 6s, which is the 666, and the 666 is carbon. Carbon is 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. The matrix, the physical realm that is ran by the simulacrum. So I am pretty excited about this day because this will be the 51 and 15. That 51 and 15 has been massive this year because we're in the year of the tiger. The tiger equals 15 in Chaldean. And I'll put back this guy's name for a moment. So yeah, I think that's definitely something to take into consideration because when we're all things considered, the 51 and 15 have been playing themselves through the code over this stock market for the entirety of this year. Two good examples would be recently the DXY, which is the US dollar currency index, hit 105. 105 is the 15, and the Dow hit its all-time high on January 5th, which is the 1-5 date. And then I've shown you guys a million things about the tiger year and connection to the tiger and all of that. But also I'm seeing something powerful here with the 157 on Kwan Do Hyung name. It's the 37th prime. And remember, we were just talking about 3 7s or the jackpot number, 3 7s. This guy definitely hit the jackpot before he collapsed his own project on his investors. That 51 is so important, though. Anytime you're seeing this 15-51 connection to anyone, and it's happening in this year, the year of the tiger with the 15, I mean, it's just obvious by now. Remember, moon gives you that 51 and 15 right there. Luna, right? Luna doesn't get, well, yeah. Oh, shit, I forgot. Luna has the 15, too. Yeah, this is all coded in. I mean, what's Luna Classic giving me? The 33. Oh, I love the numbers, man. Oh, that 32 is also powerful as well because this will be, let me show you guys something real quick. This final day of the month. Wow. Oh, that's, let me show you. I don't want to nerd out too much on you guys. But the 151 tying into that 36, that 3 6s, the 666, like I told you about before, and me thinking about the date of June 3rd and how that's all tied in. But then this is that 151 with the 36 connecting to the same date numerology, that 15 in the year of the tiger. And yeah, I don't have too much to say about Do Kwon and his scam, but it's definitely interesting with Luna Classic giving you that 33, the transmutation. They turned Luna from solid to liquid. That's what it is. You know, the moon is a plasma phenomenon in the ionosphere, in the section of Krypton. Let's keep it moving. I could talk about this shit all day just because it's the most fascinating stuff in the world to me. So Hex, perfect washout down to the spring, hit its top level right here on the daily close, plus a little bounce. I have not moved this red box for a whole week now. I put this red box up about a week and a half ago. And even on the top of this box at 6 cents, that was done on purpose because Hex is the 6-sided polygon. So that 6 is big, right, with Hex. It's not only about the 5s, but I did bring that up in my interview with Crypto Coffee, how I felt the 5 and the 6 were big numbers for Richard for whatever reason. I'm sure you guys have further decoding to add. But consider June 3rd, this upcoming date. Of course, tomorrow is the new moon, and then we have the final day of the month, which will be the monthly close. We're closing this weekly pretty close to the monthly, so that's another interesting thing. So Anything else before I get into the TA? Okay, I'm going to run through this chart really quickly because you guys have been seeing me bring this up at all, like every week. But you see this trend line. We keep playing with this trend line. It's just a week after week after week. We hit it back here, bounce, here, bounce, bounce, bounce. And we just keep interacting with it lately. This is the longest we've kept up with this trend line since its genesis. I mean, this is going on now for... what are we on? 21 days, of course. Of course, 21 days. So this is 3 weeks of trading in this really arduous, trading range. And that's definitely, oh yeah. Also, speaking of 52 and 25, Bitcoin wicked down to 25,000. And we know that's tied into Bitcoin because BTC equals 25 in English ordinal. Again, very important stuff, guys. It's all code. So we are just trading into support and building a lot of support around 28 to 29,000 on this Bitcoin chart. This is the area that, Bitcoin sort of needs to hold. But this, we've seen this before when we have this slow downtrend, multiple days of this jagged, slightly declining price action, similar to over here. It was when we filled the wick from this eclipse. So I'm going to zoom in. And you see this big wick right here on this May 19th event. Then we filled it over time. And once we filled it with a bunch of daily closes, we reversed out of there. So it'd be definitely, there's a lot of confluence between this trend line, this overall trend line, and this price action about a year ago, the same time, May, June timeframe. We're transitioning into June pretty soon. Now, I wanted to bring this up, and I think this is a really amazing chart. So this is the 5-day chart, and I do think this will have a lot of value for everyone. This is the 5-day chart, and up here I have the RSI, the Relative Strength Index, and down here I have Market Cipher. Now, Market Cipher, you have to pay for it, and I don't recommend people buy this unless you're a trader or you have the money. There is a free version of this. I don't really like the free version. It doesn't come with as much stuff as you can get with, let's just say, doesn't come with as much stuff as the paid version, obviously, but it comes with the bare essentials, and this tool at the bottom is one of them. It's Market Cipher B, I believe it's called. But anywho, what's important about all of this is the fact that there is absolutely an importance to the larger time frames, and unless you have premium trading view, you're not going to be able to get custom time frames like a 3-day, or you might be able to get 3-day in the free version. I'm not sure. But I do get the 5-day chart in TradingView Premium because you could customize it. So anyone who's followed my advanced trading course, you have access to that. So this is definitely interesting to see this green dot forming at the same time the green dot has formed on all the bottoms of what we were calling bear markets. So you can see right here on this yellow or orange line, that was the low on the chart going back to 2015, and we got that green dot right there, and the RSI sitting into oversold. So I do have a picture of this, which will make it look even easier for you guys. I should have brought that up. Okay, hopefully it's capturing. You can see all the pink circles are in alignment with the green dots, and that's the lows on the bear market. You can see right there, all aligning with this green dot. And again, recently, all aligning with this green dot. And one other thing to mention is the RSI on this 5-day chart over time has higher lows, okay? So you see this one dipped really low. This one's a slightly higher low. And lately, I mean, I'm not ready to fully commit that this is the bottom. But this is, again, it's just an indicator. I don't love using indicators solely for all of my analysis, but I do believe there's something to be said here, okay? So consider that. This chart is pretty amazing. So this is going from the 2015 all-time high, then to the 2018, 2017 all-time high, and then again, you can see hitting up into our recent all-time high, followed by the same indicator flashing with similar results. The time in between this moment and this moment, I brought this up in my 1400-day cycle exposed, and I was reiterating it on the 247-day cycle exposed. So for those of you that haven't watched those two videos yet, I really strongly suggest you watch them, because for Bitcoin and people who want to learn TA and macro analysis, I mean, it was very esoteric stuff, but I feel like it would give those individuals an edge on the market. So have fun with this. If anyone out there has Market Cipher, again, I do not recommend buying this unless you're somebody who is a trader and you find value in these kind of indicators. It is a little bit expensive. I do have the, I believe there is some sort of a discount link for anyone who has my advanced trading course, but again, there's a free version of it, and there's other similar indicators to this indicator out there that you could give a shot with. At this time, I would rather people save their money on educational material, meaning invest in yourself through educational material, or I would just save your money for buying crypto. But if you're a trader and you like the indicators and you're like an indicator nerd, which is a good thing, like it's not a bad thing. It's nice to have data. And if really all that matters is your utility for the data you have, for me, having Market Cipher has been a game changer. So I'm just speaking for myself. I like it, but I'm not here to promote it at all. It's just something that I use. It's the only indicator I've ever paid for. So I do find this a very interesting confluence across the board of every 1400 days, we're having this 5-day green flash with the RSI into slightly oversold after being extremely overbought. So you see around here, we're sitting at 95 RSI in the 5-day, 95 RSI in the 5-day, and up here was around 95 on the 5-day. That's a really overheated RSI, and it enters a bearish divergence, which again, we did have this anomaly where we went back up for a slightly new all-time high, but that was a key sign that, you know, there was a lot here that was showing that. Now that we could look back at it, we all learned as technical analysts to call this a bull trap. And I've been calling this a bull trap now for probably about 4 months, because that's what it showed us. Slightly new high followed by a rejection. And once we broke support into this area right there, that was a sign this was in fact a bull trap. So let's move on. I like this chart. And also, you know, we had the support line, which I was showing you on another chart as well. And if we were to take this and bring it over, we had a very similar structure going where it's like coming into this support area like it did over here and like it did over here. The only thing that's different is the depth of the corrections. But one of the things to mention is as Bitcoin gets more mature and becomes more scarce, it should correct less. It should not have 85% corrections anymore moving forward. It should, because it has less gains, it has less losses. And that's what has happened over time. As you go from bull run to bull run, you're going to see Bitcoin went from a penny all the way up to where it is today. It's the best performing asset of all time. Now, every bull run we have, it becomes diminishing returns. And so far, the losses have been pretty similar, but the speed of which we deal with the losses has been quicker recoveries. Like you can see right here, this all-time high, the appreciation in price from these levels down here to these levels was much more rapid. It happened much faster, much higher ROI. But this boring, amount of time being at the lows took a lot longer to recover. And in regards to the overall swings, when we're looking at month to month, this gave us two crazy opportunities in the last bull run, which was a mid-term automatic rally, like to see a big price appreciation in the middle of a bull run, followed by this sideways range, which gave you an opportunity to continue reaccumulation before it extended up into its high. So there's been actually a lot more opportunity, but a lot more like a weird volatility for longer term price swings. In the English language, this was a lot easier to navigate than this bull run. This bull run was a lot easier to navigate because we just had short little like 30% corrections the whole way until the parabolic all-time high. Lately, it's been all over the place. So I'm definitely interested to see how the rest of this bull run culminates. So we went over those two charts. Let me look at the weekly really quickly just to see if we're getting anything worthwhile to talk about. We have our handy dandy index chart. Oh, this also might be historic. Is this 8 straight weeks of red candles? Is that the most ever? I think that's the most red candles of all time. Yes, that has to be. Someone confirm that, please, for me in the comments of this video. I think this is the most consecutive red candles for Bitcoin ever in its history. 7 straight. So this is definitely looking like a spring to me. Let me just show you. And for those of you out there that are, you're completely new to Wyckoff method, and you might have learned about it in my course, or you might have learned about it recently in my Hex interview. You can see right here that it does look like we're in this phase C moment. So we have that double tap at support at the bottom, and then we have that breakdown. So we have boom, boom, kind of weird. We could even consider this whole stretch the double tap. This would be your all-time high. This is sort of your automatic rally. This was your rejection of the box down to a phase C kind of event. And that would also be in alignment with that 100 or 1,400 day cycle and the 247 day cycle. And then you would have some sort of, but these time frames are like, this would be another year to 2 years. You know what I mean? This is very macro analysis is what I'm talking about. Now, when we were looking at the Hex chart, this was very obvious that this was the spring. And that's why I called it the spring in the interview. And now you'll see that this was perfect. Basically, when you break down through the lows, you come back slightly lower and then you re-enter the trading range over time. So this is much more volatile because this asset was up 1,000,000% or something crazy like that. Over here, it's only 20,000, but if you go to the all-time chart, which I was able to get from Matt, it's like literally 700,000% gains. It's insane. So I think it's appreciating faster than the price of Bitcoin at the time, which makes sense too because there's more opportunity now to buy crypto. You could buy crypto on your cell phone. You could buy, it's so much easier now than back in the day when Bitcoin came out and people thought they needed the black market to buy Bitcoin. Now you could just buy it on legal websites. So let's get back to this spring idea. So yeah, this could essentially be a macro selling climax for Bitcoin. And that would not be weird because anything around 70% would just be a slightly less than the prior iterations from swing highs to swing lows. Got about 84%, 72%, and then this correction would be about 63%. So you would have just slightly had a less of a correction. This is also looking like a similar structure to this event back here where we have like a top, another top, followed by a dump. Be very, very interesting to see what happens. For me, I'm just still waiting for post-September regarding like huge volatility in the market. And I think that because of Bitcoin dominance ramping up a little bit more lately, you could see it's at 46 now. Whew, look at that. Look at Bitcoin dominance. It's coming back into the top of the range of October 2021. So that was slightly after the start of Shemitah. So this is, again, showing signs that altcoins are draining out and Bitcoin's been maintaining posture. While a lot of coins are entering what's called a spring, Bitcoin's actually been holding support. So this rotation into the more sophisticated asset is obvious again. Even ETH has started to, have lots of volatility kicking into the downside where we thought, it would hold its support levels. And then once it broke down, it does what it usually does. It just follows Bitcoin, but with more percentage losses. So let's go to ETH actually, now that we're thinking about that. So we are holding support. You could see if I just drew a line there. Yep, right there, exactly, filling up that wick like I told you guys on my last YouTube video. I said the odds are these coins like ETH, XRP, and a lot of the other altcoins that wicked down on May 12th, we're probably going to fill out that wick. And that's actually what happened, and it was a clean tap down to the bottom of the wick and also this retest here back in June. This looks really distributional, but like in a way that it's a little bit oversold. So are we getting, yeah, this is very interesting. Okay, cool. I like this. I like seeing ETH fill out this area between the 236 and the bottom because it needs to build trading range in that prior level. So you see after the C-word crash, we rallied all the way into this area right now that we are currently back testing. After we had the first buying climax down, we retested the same area, and then we had the bull trap, and now we're just retesting it again. So holding this level would be obviously ideal. If we break through this level right here of 14.17, that would be a slide down to $500. But if we hold this level in the macro, this will just be a really nice horizontal trading range. It would look like a reaccumulation cycle in Wyckoff. And now we're approaching on the weekly, tapping down near oversold, like we're getting into that territory. We go back to the lowest it's ever been. It was December 2018. That was probably the bottom of the bear market. Boom. So that was after a 95% loss for ETH. And if I was to delete this and look at structure, this doesn't look as promising comparatively to this. This was a much better automatic reaction. So this top and this top could actually be similar to these two moments, but we're just maturing as an asset class, and a lot of the weaker hands have left the market, and now it's people just holding long term. So I'm definitely wondering how this support line right here, you see how I'm going to show you guys a level really quickly from this to that over. We have the top rejection, retest, confirming it as a prior resistance, confirming it as a support, automatic reaction off of the blow off top, which would be like a, typical bull trap. And then we come back to the support and fail. Once we fail, we slide down. So that would be similar to like this right here. You have your top closures. Oof. Yeah, this is really shaky, but super interesting analysis for sure. Just being able to look back at how that prior iteration went. And although it's a slightly different imprint, there are similarities in the overall structure. This chart is starting to look like it needs to come back soon, because if ETH drowns out, all this other shit's going to take a hit. So let's move on to XRP, because there's not really too much to say about ETH regarding that. Okay, so the same story. We had our wick. This wick was a little bit more violent. I come down to 333. It came down to 0.333. Okay, so ridiculous. Yeah, so we're just filling out this area and holding on that daily close. Not much to say. And another 37 right there. Oh, that was off that wick, yeah. So this is looking like a spring to me, guys. You have your buying climax, you have your selling climax, automatic rally, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, drown out. And this drown out is going to fill out into that lower structure, back testing some of your prior trading range. And to me, this would be like a spring, very similar to the hex chart that I was showing you guys a moment ago. We wouldn't be able to confirm an SOS until this thing breaks above the 618, somewhere around, I guess I would actually have to, somewhere around 95 cents. Pretty much these two wicks right here going back on February and March. Any daily closes above those levels, and you would look for an SOS, and that SOS would be bringing you into this area, which would be the prior golden pocket range. And I'll show you what that means. So from this all-time high, or not all-time high, but yearly high, into this swing low right here, it'd be somewhere into 140, 165. So that would be like where the SOS moves to. Very, very far away. It would be a 200, 300% gain, which is nothing actually. 300% for altcoins is pretty, like if you go from this wick right here to this pump, that was 400%. If you go from this move right here to that move, that was 280%. If you go from this right here to this, that was 260%. If you go from this 3 or 4 days of lows right here to this crown top, 150%. The market was boring then. So for a coin to move 200% in short order, especially XRP, it's not weird. It does it all the time. People might just be newer to crypto and they're unaware of that. Okay. So technically this could fill down to the 33 cent, but I don't know if every single exchange it wicked that. Okay. Yeah, it might have wicked that low on a lot of exchanges then. So that could have been just leverage players. Filling out that wick is possible for sure. 33 cents, and then I would suspect we have to see how it reacts, because it could easily slide down to around 23 cents. but it would all be indicative of Bitcoin. Like if Bitcoin just, actually, one moment. This was one thing that's on my mind that I wanted to bring up before I move into the altcoins. So goodness me, like this was some of the best TA I've ever done on an indice. So remember what I was saying about the Dow in the last episode? I had this white trend line. Now, I don't want to confuse you guys, but this is important. So we had the two rejections and then we flipped it as a support from 2020 over a year later, came down into this area. And then what I did was I pulled a fib from this level to this level right here. And I told you guys about the 1618, and that's a typical level to get a bounce. And what we would expect now after this bounce, and I told you guys this 7 days ago. So literally right around the time. Now, when we get down to this level, I told you that we would anticipate a bounce off of this level because that's typically what happens in a dead cat bounce. So this was very technical. When you go from here to here, and then you have your rejection at these levels, you break support to the downside, you would call that a dead cat bounce, and the perfect target would be the 1618 on the downside. So this played out like beautifully. Look at the bounce. Like this was a very nice bounce, and why is this not affecting crypto? Like why is crypto generally down while the Dow just beautiful rebound off those lows? So I think this is going to show up in the crypto market this upcoming week. That's probably how it's going to go. Like the first week of June, it's probably going to be pretty dope because if you're seeing this type of reaction in the Dow, and there is correlation between the Dow and crypto, this hasn't shown up in crypto yet. But you see how volatile this bounce has been? 8% in the indice is a lot for crypto. That could be a 25-30% bounce in Bitcoin. So I think that's just interesting. Like look at the difference. I'm going to go to the daily. So that's the Bitcoin chart. And that's the Dow. Like, look at this. It's just straight up green line. And Bitcoin's flat and sideways. So super interesting, right? Like, I think there's something to be said about that. The stock market is reacting very bullishly. And that energy is probably going to move into Bitcoin, especially with Bitcoin regaining dominance and the fear in the market being at extreme levels. Typically the time where we expect a little bit of relief and a little bit of a bounce. So yeah, that's going to all correlate back into the XRP chart, of course. And then I'll cover more in depth on XRP in the next episode if in the next YouTube video, of course. So let's get into Constellation DAG. Okay, so I've covered this in the past. You can see I pulled a fib from this level right here, which was this first distributional top, down to this swing low. And then we pierced through the 5 and 6 spot fib extension. Oh, and also I had someone in the community, a couple people actually asking me about using fib in log setting. So I'm in a log setting right now on my charts, but my fib is not set up with log on. So if you go to settings and you scroll down to fib levels based on log scale, it is not turned on. I'm doing that intentionally because this is only like a year worth of price action. The only time you'd be using fibs in log scale is if you're looking at multi-year chart. So if you wanted to do something like this from this high over to here, and then you wanted to analyze a very long-term amount of data, sure, that would be a good opportunity to turn on log scale, fibs based on log scale while you're in log scale. And then you're going to see where you came up was perfectly that 2618. I know it's hard to see, but if you were to pause the video, you'd here, let me I'll delete this for you guys. I'll pull the fib like this. I'm gonna go to log scale. Now you can see that we attacked that 1618 after we got the nice rebound. That's very typical, hitting the golden ratio. Had a little bit of a correction, wicked back to this high right there, confirming that wick as a support, and then bouncing all the way up to the 2618. This is a very macro analysis, and then we're going to naturally gravitate back to the 1618 and build out. And this looks like a big bull flag, actually. It's a very clean bull flag. So that would be a utility for a fib based in log scale, but that's not how I like finding price targets. So when I'm using a shorter term fib pull, I'm going to do something like this. I'm going to go from the first wick high down to that swing low. I'm going to not keep it on log scale. I'll keep my chart on log, but not the fibs. And then this is how I like to do my analysis. I would have known that we would hit the 5 or 6 spot fib extension. I've been teaching you guys that for over a year now. After you get above the 4236, the odds of you going higher are pretty much to the 6 spot fib extension. I called that on Terra Luna. I called that on Solana. I've pretty much every time I've been seeing a chart hit all-time highs, it's because of hitting those levels. So whoever asked that question about why I use my fib the way that I do, it's because that's what works for me. That's what helps me define tops better. And when I combine Gematria with this particular analysis, it's like untouchable. So I hope that helps. And if you find any conflicting data out there, it's because other technical analysts do what works for them. I do my own unique TA, but I've been telling everyone for pretty much a full year now, when we hit anything above this 1618, we're going to gravitate to the 4236. And then if we want to go slightly higher, it will hit the 6 spot fib extension. Look at how on the money that's been. And if you go back to any analysis that I've done on Solana, any analysis that I did on Terra Luna back before it had the big correction, that was why I was telling people that I did not want to get into Terra Luna, because it already hit these extension targets. And to me, that's not an opportunity anymore. Now, what this is doing technically is beautiful so far. And I believe this is probably the selling climax in the macro for this specific project. We're getting very close. This is a full about 87% on this wick. I do think a wick fill is possible down to the 0.5, even as low as the 236, but it could happen very quickly, okay? So this is the top, in my opinion. When we hit these levels, we like to gravitate to the 1618. If we can no longer hold the 1618, we will start treating it as a resistance and break down into the golden pocket. After we break down into the golden pocket, if we cannot hold the golden pocket, we're going to come down to the 236. So if we were to pull an entire move like that down to the 236, that's 90% losses. That's not even that bad. Ethereum lost 95% in the last bull run. So just remember that. This is a standard correction for an altcoin. So I would personally be looking to accumulate this around the 236 if I was to even consider it. That is also this little area of trading range back here. So we do know there's a level that it would like to fill out and retest. So far right now we're dealing with this level, but we only have a couple weeks of trading in there. It would be natural to kind of do something like this. But because of where we're at right now, if we were to have a rebound, it would probably be something like this. And that would be your selling climax into the end of Shemitah. And that would be a macro analysis, okay? So this is distributionary, that whole top area. We're currently backtesting this area right here. We could be heading towards this area later. But one last quick swipe up into the golden ratio is very possible. So I hope that helps, guys. That'd be the move on this particular coin. And then probably have till the next cycle for it to get back up. And it's already done really well. I mean, you know, yeah, 7,000%, pretty solid. Oh, Polygon, Matic. Okay, so this is one of those unfortunate charts where it hits a double top. So we have the double top, and then after coming down and getting rejected one last time on that lower high, couldn't hold the 382, and then just a dump back to the bottom. So we have a double top, and now we're kind of working on a double bottom on Polygon. And this area right here is the last trading range we had before this horizontal trading range. So that would be pretty much the area you would anticipate to flip into a new support, this whole range right there, which would be somewhere around 30 cents to 50 cents. So 30 to 50 cents would be a range that this would be nice to fill out and just get it out of the way now. And then I would suspect, based on this chart that I'm seeing, we're probably going to have some sort of rising wedge pattern deal. You know what I mean? So if we were to come down into this area, it would look like this. And it would be reaccumulation over time. But that's the way that I look at this particular chart, this double top deal. If we get a rebound right now and Bitcoin comes back up into the 40s, 50,000s, this could hit the 236 pretty quickly. And then I would suspect after Shemitah, it will start to fill out this area right here that I was just telling you guys about. And that would be ideal reaccumulation zone. So keep an eye on that for this particular coin. Consider these ranges right here. That's like words of wisdom. So if you own this coin or you're looking to accumulate this coin, I would put some horizontal rays right here around 50 cents. Let's bring it down to 45 and then copy paste and then bring it down to here. That would be your trading range that you'd want to reaccumulate this bad boy in. And off top, that would be a full, down to the low of this would be about 90%. So there you go. That'd be a full correction for sure. And overall, that would look pretty solid. If I wanted to consider this off the bounce happening into like October, so something like this. Last breath of air, Rosh Hashanah, dump, and then that would be the full play. That actually looks really nice. I would appreciate that happening. So that's any chart that you see that has this quick double topping structure and then it's returning back to the prior lows in the structure, you could consider a similar fractal for those coins. Let's look at Flux. I'm going to push through this really quickly. Okay, so this is another one. If you were to take the analysis that I shared before, if you're gonna see a swing high to swing low fib come and break the 1618, look at how quickly it went from breaking the 1618 all the way up to these trading ranges, which could even be the 8 spot fib, but it didn't last too long above the 6. Like it barely lasted. We're talking about just a couple days. And once it broke down through the 6 spot fib extension around the early time frame of this year, we never got back to it. We got rejected at the 0.5 fib 3 times in a row. So I just love the analysis of anything over the 4236. Get out of the project. I don't care if it goes up an extra 50%. That's ridiculous. Like, save yourself. Because people didn't do this on Terra Luna, and that's why they got fleeced. And for this project, if Luna could do something like just drop out, of course this could. What even is this, So that's why people need to be very careful when they're trading up into these areas above the 4236. And then the last time this retested the 4236, it dumped an additional almost 70% off that rejection. So that gave you a final little moment to not be so greedy. But off top right here, down to swing low, we're already at 80% down. And I do believe this coin is going to go back into the golden pocket because that's what I've taught you guys. Remember, after you hit your top fib extensions, which is anything above the 4236, you're going to want to return back to the 1618. We're returning back to the 1618. So this is a distributional top and it's not done. Okay. So maybe we could have a moment like this, but then it's probably going to come back and fill out this area right there. That's the area it needs to fill out anyways. And if we were to take a full move off of this down to the 0.5 fib, we're looking with something like 92%. And I suspect a full 95%, very, very possible for this particular project. So consider such. Something like that. That whole trading range post end of Rosh Hashanah. Now, this did really well. Great. It had a pretty explosive move from July to early January. Really nice. Congrats to anyone who got out of this project when they did. Very beautiful. Nice, big, explosive move to the upside after backtesting the golden pocket and breaking the 1618, and that's what I teach. So I love to see charts that pull that off. Okay, now we're on Tron. This is probably where we'll end this one because we're approaching the 1 hour mark in our podcast. Clear all-time high, or maybe not an all-time high. Okay. Ooh. Okay. I like this. This is good. Also, this is real good. Okay. So buying climax in this current horizontal trading range, selling climax, automatic rally with a perfect tip on the golden pocket, like perfect rejection. And now we're holding structure. So you can see we're just consecutive higher lows. I mean, boom, This is nice. Consecutive higher highs. Now what this looks like is a bear flag. That's a bear flag. So this shit, it looks like it's... The reason why I said this is good is because I'm sure right now a lot of people are excited about Tron because they see it holding structure and it's not returning back to the bottom. But this is how bear flags play out. What I will say, though, is if I looked at this at the macro, we have their all-time high followed by this big bowl cup and handle deal. And then we have exhaustion of sellers followed by an automatic reaction with a lower high. This is a very interesting project. I know this was like Justin Sun's thing, right? I'm surprised it's no longer following XRP. I mean, it is following XRP in the overall structure, where like XRP compared to this was at like $3.30. This one was at 30 cents. And then when XRP went up to like $1.96, this one went up back up to 18. The structure is almost identical. Even this parabolic move right there, that straight line breakout, XRP did the same sort of idea. I don't need emojis right now. But yeah, you see that like 15,000% in just like a couple weeks. XRP did that as well back then. So this structure is this coin is very consistently following XRP up until recently. You can see this format right there of the way that it's structured over the last like 100 days. Very different from XRP. But ultimately, when you zoom out, you see the same structure. You see this? Top, sell off during the C word, lower high. This is where they deviate right there. While Tron is moving up, like, and slightly moving up and curving up, this coin has entered what I believe is a short-term spring. And TRX is just in this bull flag or the bear flag kind of deal. But it is a good structure and it could very easily hold up. And once you would know that it's positive if it could close a daily above this level right here. If it could close dailies above 13 cents, I would call that an SOS. And that would be something moving into the golden pocket. We would need action in the golden pocket to call it an SOS. Until then, getting back above the 236 is very good. That's a sign of strength. Because when you fall through it, you see we always come down. And then we have to recover. But recovering and staying above it and getting up past the 0.5 fib, that's the struggle, okay? That's always the struggle. Otherwise, we're just planting high, lower high, lower high. And that's a downtrend. But this isn't in a macro downtrend in this horizontal trading range we're examining until it actually breaks below these levels, which a lot of coins have, and Tron hasn't. So... good looking, but I would worry about that bear flag playing out. We would invalidate the bear flag, in my opinion, with any trading above this 382 back into 10 cents. That would completely invalidate this, and this would just be a beautiful potential cup and handle idea. Maybe. I don't want to. This could be your cup and handle too. With movement into September, October. I just really don't. I really don't know so far how this can go because this is one of the weirdest charts. It's like the only one that I'm really seeing doing something like this. So that's nice because I love to see anomalies. I love to see things that are like decoupled from the average moves. So I'm going to leave it at that, guys. We definitely went over a lot today, even discussed the Wyckoff analysis a little more. Again, anyone who has my advanced trading course, you'll have access to all of these Wyckoff schematics. So I have all of the accumulation schematics, distribution, reaccumulation, and you'll see that they are high quality images that Mike 440 helped me out with. They just look so beautiful. And you could even print them out. I've seen some people printing them out and laminating them. They look amazing. So anyone who has the advanced trading course will have access to those. And since you are a Patreon supporter of mine, you get the best prices on my courses. So that's just in the description box of this video. So I'm going to leave it at that. I hope everyone is having a beautiful day. I hope you enjoyed all of the analysis and the little decode that I did for the recent hex ritual. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Much love.